Let's go.
The Reynolds Group and the Snoop Group.
Snoop Group.
This is Tall Can Audio.
Away we go on an all-new episode of the Tall Can Audio podcast for your Thursday. Coming to you from our studio in beautiful Bytown, Canada. My name is Matt Robinson. Chris Hoffley alongside. What's happening today, man?
Hello. Good to be back. And the Florida Panthers are up 1-0 in the series.
What are we, 9 seconds into the show? You're bringing that up already.
I'm sorry it took that long.
Leafs are into the second round. Can we not talk about that part of it? No? Take it or leave it. We're on social media at Tall Can Audio. Give us a follow there. He is on Twitter at Chris Hoffley and on Instagram at Hoff on Sports because he's needlessly difficult and can't just pick a handle.
Yeah, I know, but when I picked my handles, it wasn't like there was no real social media etiquette at the time.
Okay.
Like I should have kept it. Maybe it'll happen one day.
Maybe.
I lost my blue check mark on Twitter thanks to Elon. So
it's actually better.
No, it's way better now with all the other shit.
Yeah.
I don't want it anymore.
No.
But also, I didn't change any of my handles for a while because you can lose.
Yes.
At one point, you
friend
can
of the
lose
show,
it.
Steve Warren, is still TSN Steve, and they shit-canned him like 3 years ago.
Yeah,
like
so
maybe more than that. It's
you got to hang on to that blue check.
Right.
Now nobody wants it. Now it's a sign of you just being
bad things.
At the very least, like kind of dumb. Like if you go to the Twitter replies right now of like viral tweets, it's all verified people and it's all just like monosyllabic illiterate nonsense.
Yes.
Or just like racist, homophobic, misogyny, like everything. Like it's just all going around. It's just all garbage. It's really hard to read through that crap.
Yeah.
That was a crazy tangent.
No, it's about right.
Social media
We're all sort of feeling that right now.
stuff,
Like Twitter is undeniably worse without proper verification. But with Elon's version of verification, fuck that.
Oh, right? It doesn't. Nothing's like. It doesn't make any sense to me. He's a lunatic, and I don't care. Like it's social media. It's not real life.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
and Twitter's always been something of a cesspool.
Yes,
but now it's just like a confusing, annoying cesspool.
Yeah,
and
I've noticed like you're spending less time there than you used to, and that's probably to your credit. Yeah. I'm still drowning in the shit pool.
Oh, I'm on it a lot, and I like it's still a useful tool, but I got so sick of getting in these like circuitous arguments with trolls, and I don't like. There's so much negativity. I just didn't feel like I don't feel like I need to put as much of my own.
I get that.
Issues out into the Twitter world. I'll still call like really nonsensical bullshit out because I feel like I can't resist because I'm still me. But
sure,
I just can't get bogged down in it because it's soul sucking.
So one of the reasons that you're back here, aside from the fact that we just love your glowing personality and everything you bring to the show, is that you're here to collect some winnings.
Yeah.
You and I had bet on the Jennies in the 67s. Didn't go so well for Oshawa.
It's like one of the all-time worst bets.
And I've been told, right?
That's why I jumped on it.
I'm a bit of an idiot, is how that works.
Well, it worked out. Worked out for 2 charities.
That's right. You were good
extra
enough
for me with beer.
Yes. You were good enough to also make a donation, despite having won the bet, to the Denise House down in Oshawa. Of course, mine to the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario. Both very worthy charities.
Yeah, I just didn't feel like I needed to make a great important place suffer because of your bad betting skills. So it was the least I could do.
This is why I don't gamble much outside of these sorts of things, right? Like I'm well aware I'm kind of dumb. And so maybe don't put your money on your brain because it's going to fail you every time.
It's good for chirping. It was good fun.
Right. And it was a lot of fun. So you are here to collect your winnings, and most of those are from the All or Nothing Brewing Company down in Oshawa. We'll get to that in a bit. I had a buddy of mine when I was down in the greater Oshawa region, and it's glorious. I can't remember when we were...
Osh Vegas?
Yeah. Schwallywood.
Schwallywood, gotcha. Okay, that's actually excellent.
It's not bad, yeah. But not long after the series ended, I can't remember, I sent you some sort of headline about not just a murder, but like a ridiculous murder, but I can't remember the details now. That was like, yeah, Oshawa's not taking it so well, right? But I had a friend of mine down in that area who wanted to make sure, who had heard about the bet, who had heard about what was going on, that we tried a different beer instead because it was from the Brock Street Brewing Company in Whitby, and they had partnered with the Oshawa Generals for a couple of different beers over the last year or so. He had them kicking around. He had picked them up back in March or something like that. So these that we're going to try first. I don't want to drink your winnings. You may not have allowed me to anyway.
I mean, I would have
One,
with pleasure,
maybe.
but yeah,
Okay,
maybe we could have split one.
All right. That's cute, man. 2 straws.
Yeah, like curly straws,
Of course.
crazy straws.
Yeah.
remember those?
Yeah, of course I do.
Yeah.
I still have like a bag of them right there.
There's gonna be a lot of tangents for me today.
It's
just
an
gonna
interesting
fly
day.
off sideways.
I'm surprised Hoff has agreed to come in this week. He's had a crazy schedule.
I forgot what day it was when I agreed to do this.
So we have 2 here provided by my buddy Miller with the Oshawa Generals logo on them from the Brock Street Brewing Company. And our second beer, and of course there will be a second beer. There's always a second beer. Those will be from All or Nothing, and then we'll send Hoff home with his winnings afterwards. There were 2 different beers sitting over there. You have both of them. You're going to get to take first pick on which one you want. What do you got? The 2 different beers sitting there.
Well, I have a Oshawa Generals light lager and an Oshawa Generals traditional Irish red.
Right.
I'm not sure I'm contractually allowed to drink either of them, but I will for the purpose of this, keeping up with the theme of the show.
Right.
But if I get fired, well, it's going to be on you, Matt.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
you'll be welcome here. We don't pay worth a shit, but we'll keep
All
you
right.
drunk.
Well, I haven't had a traditional Irish red in a while.
Okay.
So I'm going to give that a go.
I'll take the light lager then. That sounds all right. Thank you very much.
you go, sir.
And like I said, these are from the Brock Street Brewing Company. We'll give them a try.
Thanks, fellas. I can't look at it while I drink it, but I'm wearing a 67's hat right now, though, so it's fun.
This is really, I would say it's fair to qualify these as like you conquering something, right? Like you've come into town, taken their hockey team, and now taken their beer.
And
right? That's one way.
I
to
could
look
live
at
with
this.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
The Irish red.
Yeah, it's a classic tasting Irish red. I don't mind
kind
that
of
at all.
malty. Yeah. Okay. This is
Cover up the logo with my thumb here. There we go.
so shout out to the Brock Street Brewing Company and even more so to my buddy Miller for hooking us up with
Appreciate it.
these. Yeah. And we'll get to the All or Nothing pints that we've hooked you up with here in just a little bit. We mentioned your crazy schedule and everything that's gone on. Look, I want to ask you about some of the stuff that's gone on around the Senators lately. We're going to talk about a few different things, but let's start with the Red Blacks because we are sitting here on Wednesday afternoon, the day after the CFL draft. And
I have both a draft hangover and an actual hangover. Right. So it's a tradition for draft.
that's because you went for more draft after the draft.
Well, that might have been part of the problem.
Right. It happens. Just what's the mood around OSEG today, around the Red Blacks? Do people, feeling like they had a good night at the draft? Obviously, you're the PR guy. You would spin it for me anyway. Then tell me that obviously everybody. But, how'd it go? How's everybody feeling the day after?
Well, Matt, we are primed for unparalleled success.
Love that. That's worked out really well when
honestly, it was
franchises have used that.
It was an awesome night. For people that follow the CFL, you may know that the draft experience is not always a high octane.
Can we agree it was a little slow?
It's always been a little, but that's what you get when you have everyone's at a different. It's not like an NHL draft or an NFL draft.
No.
You're not all in one spot. Everyone's in their own war rooms. I'm a huge CFL nerd, so I find the whole process fascinating.
Sure.
And it's cool to be in there and be in the war room for a bit, then with the media. But last night, because we had the luxury of knowing I had the luxury of knowing who our first overall pick was in advance, because you get all that stuff done beforehand, and so we were able.
Ottawa had the first pick,
first overall,
so you can take whoever you want,
anybody you want, and you can get it all locked and loaded beforehand. And we had he ready to sign his contract as soon as he was signed. So
you want to give us a name?
Sorry, Dante Bull. I was going to get to that in a minute, but
okay.
I was again going on a tangent.
Fair enough.
Of how good draft night was, and because of all this prep that we were able to do, we were able to throw a really good draft party for fans upstairs in the club level, which was kind of right above where the draft stuff was taking place in the basement of TD Place.
Right.
So a lot of fans, 150 or so fans come in. TSN 1200 and our joint pal AJ Jackubek and Jeff Avery were doing the live radio show from up there, and we got to have Dante there in person. So when he got picked, we brought him upstairs. Everyone cheered. It was a pretty cool moment,
Right.
and people had a good time. So it was a little bit of extra excitement to what is not always the most rambunctious affair. And also we had the Leafs Panthers game on in the media room, so we got to see all that awesomeness go down. How was that for a comeback around?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. You guys also had the 10th overall pick, first pick in the second round. That didn't happen until 9:05. Then the 12th pick was at 9:40. Like
It's
slow, man.
It's so. Part of it is that the first 2 rounds are carried live on TSN, which is great. We
Sure.
want to, got to grow the
course.
league, and TSN,
Great partner.
go TSN.
Sure.
But because of that, with your commercial breaks and your, talking heads and all that, it takes fucking forever. And it is all it because the rest of it goes really fast. It's usually like the first 2 rounds take 2 hours, and then the last 6 take 2 hours.
Well, and like if you've never watched a CFL draft before, first of all, shame on you. Homer Simpson told you in like season 3.
Right?
Yeah. But the NHL draft is a good reference point, right? First round, everybody comes up, they put the jersey on, and they go talk to the media, and they shake hands with Gary and all this shit. Day 2 is also televised. Everyone's just at their table going, yeah, Frank Johnson. Like,
Who's left?
Right. So it all gets banged out way quicker. But I love the idea that this is televised and that TSN is trying to make it a big. And frankly, it does every year feel a little bigger. Like it is working. But man, it can be a little painful.
Yeah, and that's always in the back of my head as the PR guy,
right?
And so last night we made it a bit more fun. We picked Dante first, and then we had Claire Hanna from TSN, who's fantastic.
She's awesome.
and just a blast to work with. We brought them up in the elevator to the draft party, and on the way up in the elevator, she did like a 1-question hit with him in the elevator, and then as the doors opened after he finished the question, the crowd cheered for him, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff, you got to kind of be creative to make things fun and engaging, and I think it worked out well, and we ended up with Dante Bull and about 8 other guys that we're hopeful will be Red Blacks for a long time.
Well, so first overall is obviously the money spot. That's what everybody's thinking about. Everybody's talking about. Tell us a little bit about Dante Bull.
He's very big.
He absolutely is a massive.
I met him for the first time yesterday, a few hours before the draft, and he's just, as a person, he just seems like a great guy. He's from Victoria, British Columbia, so good West Coast boy. It was his first time east of Winnipeg. He told me yesterday coming to Ottawa. So he's really, really excited to be here. He's 6'7", 320 pounds. Can play on either sides of the ball in the O-line.
During bye weeks, he'll be on SmackDown.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna arm wrestle. Right. He's coming from playing Div 1 NCAA football at Fresno State.
Right.
So it's have a guy like that available to grabbing a Canadian O-lineman in general in the CFL draft early is huge, because you can't have enough Canadian O-linemen with the CFL ratio, and just generally how good our lineman pipeline is in this country. But to have both a Canadian O-lineman and a guy who's played at a really high university or college, like it's university, United States collegiate level, is huge. So I think he's gonna fit in really well. I know, talking to our O-line coach, Paul Charbonneau, he's really excited to have him there. Some of the other O-line boys were there for the party last night, and everyone's pretty jacked up. So as far as first round picks go, only our second first overall pick ever, which is good because you don't want to have too many of those, because it means the previous season was
not so good. But
he joins Alex Mateus as first overall Red Blacks picks, and excited to see him come into camp and just rock people, because I was telling you before we started recording, I took a picture of him with AJ, Jackie Beck, and Jeff Avery, and AJ is not like a tiny dude. He's 5'10", and standing next to Dante, he looks like an 8-year-old boy, like a bald 8-year-old boy, but an 8-year-old boy.
It's like when Mean Gene Okerlund used to interview Andre the Giant. It's
it's jarring, but it's I would just he comes from like I said, from Fresno State, so he's done. At a big school like that, they do media training, and they work with these young guys, and he's so good already. Like watching him do his first few interviews, it's like, okay, well, you're not gonna need quite as much work as
the
as some
interview
newbies to the
with
world.
Claire,
Yeah.
he's already. I thought it was cool. Like, he made it a point to shout out his hometown of Victoria, right? And he called it a small town. I'm not, fair enough. It's not a huge city, but it's not really a small town. But he
great
wants
stuff.
to put his own city on the map a little bit in this moment, right?
No, he's
that
proud.
helped him get here.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, and he's just and I loved how he deflected the obvious questions of, do you think you're gonna play? How much do you think you're gonna play? What side of the ball you're gonna play? And he's like, I'm just happy to be here. That's a coach's decision.
Yep.
I'm like, the PR guy in me is like, we're off to a beautiful start. You're, affable and friendly and well spoken, but you're not saying anything.
Even
And
remotely controversial.
that's like out of the playbook of Henry Burris, who everyone would like fawn over. He's like, that interview was great. I was like, yeah, man, he's always good, but he didn't say
said
anything,
nothing, yes.
and he did it intentionally,
It's so
and it was
funny.
awesome.
In your role, from the way you do your job, you look at that as a positive. The rest of us are like, please talk, right? Like, please.
But that's the thing. Most people talking to Hank didn't they felt like they were getting
felt
the
like he was
goods,
getting
but
something,
they
but
generally weren't.
No, that's right. And Hank, like,
He was a pro
regarded
still. Yeah.
regarded as like one of the nicest dudes ever.
And he really is.
Yeah, but never said a word about it.
No, he was, and he could sit to you for 20 minutes and not give anything away that he wasn't. So, for a guy like me,
Yep.
you don't have to worry about a guy like that, except for when he told the camera to shove it that one time, which was also
that's
awesome
kinda
in its
fun,
own way.
yeah. And like, it has its moments, and you and I talked about this last year when it happened. Like, when Nate Behar goes off after the Saskatchewan game, right, and everything went, you're like, fuck, I love that guy. Right?
I'm so proud of Nate for
right,
that one.
guy is feeling everything we're feeling. He's feeling it more. Like, he knows.
We had a 30-second chat because first he saw me coming and was pissed because he knew I was going to ask him to do media.
Yeah.
And I said, all you got to do, don't criticize the refs too much and try not to say fuck. And that was speak.
And he did it.
And he did. And he gave one of the more impassioned, impressive,
amazing,
level-headed considering the circumstances.
Yes.
It was a highlight for me on a really shitty day. That was a low light in itself.
Exactly.
So
Right.
Nate's a absolute beauty.
So one of the things we like to do around here is try and peel things back a little more. And I'm going to see how much you're going to give us here.
Layers of the onion, as it were.
Yes, exactly. You guys have first overall pick, which means you control everything that's about to happen. At 2, at 3, at 4, you're like, well, if they take this guy, we have to do. You guys are running the show here. So I'm curious, how soon do you find out this is our guy? How soon does management decide this is our guy? Like you mentioned, he was here in Ottawa. He signed his contract. Like, all of that stuff is huge, right? To build some hype, to make this guy out to be, he's here, he's engaged, he wants to be part of this. How far out from the draft does management make their decision and then start feeding it to you? Obviously, you're going to want to put together some interviews and some press releases and things like that. How far out does this actually happen?
It actually came together pretty quickly, and this is the first time since I've been with them in 7 years that we've had the first overall pick, so it was my first experience having that kind of added prep time, and so it came together pretty fast. I knew...
Because for everybody else, they make their pick at whatever.
I knew a few days before. Maybe like
guy there. They don't know who's going to be available.
No, exactly.
Right? Yeah, we can't.
You can't bring 4 guys in and be like, I hope it's one of you. I knew I got maybe 2-3 days ahead of time that it was likely. And obviously, when you decide you're going to draft a guy, in general, you want to have him go through his medicals.
Sure.
Dante had a injury last year. He broke his leg. Earlier in the it's been plenty of recovery time, and obviously you wouldn't be able to tell now. But again, it's a injury with a significant recovery period, so you want to make sure everything's good to go. Mm-hmm. So I get word from our football ops team and our GM Sean that this is probably going to be the guy under penalty of. I'm not sure what the penalty would be if I let that one slip out. I don't want to think about it, but obviously very confidential and a pretty small circle initially.
Right.
But to have that prep time is huge on our end to just get things rolling to see what how things are going to go if that ends up being the guy. And then I think it was the day before the draft that he got the all clear on his.
So he's been in town since Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a quick in and out because
Go
he came
through
in
the
and then he flew out this morning,
Yeah.
Wednesday, right after the draft, basically to go back out west. So it's a quick come in but as he was coming in for his medical is basically when I was hearing that it was probably going to happen, and then I heard after his medical that it all was good. And
when does he find out?
I mean, he would have a pretty good.
If we're bringing you in,
Yeah, you're not flying everybody in.
No.
Right? So if we're bringing you in,
We've got to narrow down to a
he
couple
was
guys.
and he was highly rated. He was, ending up on the top of a lot of mock drafts that different people in different, media outlets were doing. So it was, he would have known after the combines and everything that he was ranked right up there and was probably, be in the mix. So when the team with the first overall pick says we're going to fly you out here to do your thing, basically it's like, we want to sign you, but let's make, do everything that we need to do due diligence wise. And then he would have found out right afterwards, I would assume, that after the
probably
medical was
on
over
Monday he knew.
Yeah.
And then the draft goes down on Tuesday.
And it would by
And it's
Monday.
pretty
Like
tight.
there didn't seem to be a lot of doubt. Like the medical is something that every player has to go through, but before the season. But for the situation, you do it earlier, and it seemed pretty certain before he came in for it that was going to be it. And
But he would have potentially been invited by a few teams to do that medical, wouldn't he? Like
like very very possibly. And because I know there was other teams that expressed interest in him. Like any top ranked prospect would get. And so they're, it's up to the player in a lot of ways that,
Sure.
But when you're a guy that could potentially go first overall, you got lots of options.
100%.
I know talking to him yesterday, he loves the facilities, like the stadium, the player facilities, the vibe. He was out touring with his girlfriend was in town with him, and they were touring, Parliament and all the touristy stuff. And
if you've never been east of Winnipeg,
he said they went walking around for a while, and then they didn't know where they were, so they Ubered back to the hotel.
Who hasn't been there once or twice?
Yeah, exactly. So he just seems really keen, and it's it's an exciting day for him, and it's a good big day for us, and onwards.
The offensive line, I guess I don't know which side of the ball he's going to play on, but looks pretty good at this point, right? Like
that's a strength for sure.
100%. And when you talk about what Masoli has been through coming off an injury, the idea of keeping that guy at least feeling protected is going to be important. Can you give us an update on Jeremiah Masoli as camp opens here just over a week from now? Yeah,
I think for everything I've heard and seen, I've seen Soli a few times in the last couple weeks. He's been out throwing the ball kind of casually with some of our guys in the field, and he looks really good. Feeling good. I think again, I haven't been told otherwise, but it seems like all systems are go to start camp, and it was fairly early in the season when he got hurt, and so he's had some time. There were a couple complications initially afterwards with an infection and that kind of unfortunate stuff, but he looks great. He's fired up. You can tell to be back healthy and getting ready to start the year. So I'd be surprised if you don't see him slinging the ball quickly early during camp.
New coaching staff moving into this year, and Dice took over last year with a couple games to go in an interim role before being given the head coaching job here. Kahari Jones comes in. What have you seen out of the new coaching staff? I'm sure they're excited to actually put their own fingerprints on this. Like Dice in a tough spot last year, right? Coming in at the time of year, this will be his camp, right? Run his way.
He's the man,
right? What can we expect out of a Bob Dice-led team as we move into training camp here pretty shortly?
So much knowledge and so much passion. Like if I had to describe Bob, like with the two things he's going to bring, those are like knowledge and passion. The guy knows the game so well. He's been around a long time, and his give a shit meter is just freaking off the charts. And I know he's even said that he's going to have to dial back like his intensity on the sidelines because like as a position coach, you have a bit. If you need to scream at the refs, you're going to scream at the refs. As a head coach, you got to pick your moments a little bit more. And I know he said, that's going to be part of the he's one of the most entertaining and interesting people to watch coach on the sidelines. He's so fiery. He's so just aware of it. Even as the special teams coordinator, he was just very in tune with everything that was going on. He's just a really good football guy. And he has surrounded himself with some just awesome football minds in Kahari and Baron Miles as his 2 coordinators, and just they're great dudes. And the coaching room seems like just a great place to be right now. And the guys that we brought back, and your Paul Charbonneau's on the O-line, Mike Fair on the D-line, Pat Bourgon coaching the linebackers. It's a freaking awesome group. And I have not had a lot of experience with the coaches that I didn't, most of our coaches over the years have been great, but this group just feels tight and ready to go. And I think Bob Dice is going to run a tight ship, and it's going to be organized, and the team's identity is going to be clear, and hopefully that'll translate into a whole bunch of wins.
Yeah, and I guess that's the next logical place to go. It's time, right? Fans are
pissed.
Well, yeah,
frustrated,
whatever you want to call it, right? Are ready for a turnaround season. Look, we've talked about it 100 times here, so I don't want to beat it to death, but all the time we've spent talking about, it's such a great vibe down at Lansdowne on a Friday night and whatever. But can we get a goddamn win, right? These sorts of things. What, I know you stay in contact with the players. You're organizing interviews and their media appearances and these sorts of things. What is the vibe like for them? There has to be at least a bit of pressure on them, or that they might be feeling, to get off to a really, good start. And even if, and look, obviously everyone's hopes will be higher than this, but even if there's only going to be a couple of home wins, one's got to be early. It's got to happen fast.
Oh, no question.
The fan base has been incredibly loyal at home, and they're looking for something now.
No,
right?
we have to go out there and get it done at home early and often this year. There's really no beating around that particular bush. It just has to happen. It hasn't been good enough in general over the last 2 years, but on the on-field product, and it has to be a lot better this year.
Are the guys feeling that?
Honestly, I think the guys feel pressure any season.
You want to win.
They're such, highly, they're very just passionate, fiery athletes that want to win no matter what. And there's pressure to win every game. And, we have a lot of new guys that haven't played here and wouldn't be quite as. I think guys that have been here for a bit, that's probably in the back of their minds a little bit, and it's probably just more frustration, because there's no real reason. You can't pinpoint one thing and be like, this is why we haven't won at home much in the last 2 years. But no, I think guys are just, innately want to win at home, and that's ultimately always the goal. So you just have to go and get it done and close the deal.
So last thing on the Red Blacks here before we move off of that is, tell me a name or two that, generally speaking, fans aren't talking enough about heading into training camp. We all know Jeremiah Masoli, right? We all know Nate Bahar. We all know some of the stars on this team that have been around for a bit. But whether it's somebody new or somebody ready to take another step, give us a name or two heading into camp that you're excited to see, get up and running, and that we should be paying attention to.
That's an excellent question, Matt.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, because there's lots of them on a football team with this many players. There's a hell of a lot of unsung heroes who are exciting to watch and probably don't get their full dues. I'll give you a couple on both sides of the ball, but Jackson Bennett, Canadian running back, Ottawa EU guy, just a beauty of a dude and a good player and a big kind of imposing, powerful running back style of player. He got his feet wet last year in kind of a periodic, sub in a little bit, get a few reps. Yeah. And he's one of those guys that, you don't see a ton of Canadian running backs starting in the league. But he's one of those guys that you certainly feel has that ability and could be a really good, powerful option in that position. So he just a good Canadian kid who's fun to watch and I think is going to get a good shot this year. Adam O'Clair, another Canadian on the other side of the ball, linebacker, started some games last year. Smart, high IQ guy who reads plays well, athletic, quick, hits like a truck. Is a guy like Alonzo Adai who came in and played kind of playing in that safety spot was great last year, and we'll probably see a lot more of him. He's an exciting guy to watch. That you feel like he was kind of thrown in there last year. Came to camp late, or I don't even know if he was in camp, and he came in late, and so he didn't get that full kind of integration to the team, but did really well. So love to, a guy like that you're going to see more of. The O-line never gets enough credit. So as a whole, I think
on either side of the line.
I think our O-line's going to be
tough.
really strong. Which is why selecting a guy like Dante Bull is great, because you don't have any expectation or need for him to come in a starting. Like you don't need to see he's going to come in, be a
he doesn't have to be a
backup
hero.
guy. He's good, and no, he doesn't, and you shouldn't have to do that. We're not in a position where we have to do that. So you're able to
the
take
line
this.
looks really good.
Yeah, and so you have this opportunity to build your depth and build for your coming couple of years with a player. So that's that unit is going to be solid.
Yeah.
Who else? Oh man, I mean, it's not like Devontae Dedmon doesn't get noticed because he does, but I think you're going to see a big year from.
People love watching that.
I think you're going to see a big year from him. I think you probably see him involved in the offense more. I think the issue with when Devontae came back last year is that he was being used in a way where you kind of knew what was going to. If he came in on offense, you knew kind of what was going to happen. Which made it tough, and teams were actively avoiding kicking to him.
I would.
And it was driving him crazy. He'd come off the bench and he'd say some things that I wanted. He was pissed, and I would have been too. We were pissed. It was talking about dice going off. He's like, man, play the game, trust the other team, trust your coverage unit, and kick to our.
If I'm the other team, they're like, fuck that.
Other teams were getting penalties for illegal kickoffs.
No. I know.
Out of bounds because they just wouldn't take the chance to kick to
that guy's
the speed limit. So I want to see him go off, and I want to see what other ways they can use him to be a whether it's as a decoy or getting the ball. You got to just keep the mystery there with him, because there's a good chance he's going to get the ball in his hands and be fast. So it can't be the case all the time.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting camp. I know fans are anxious to see this thing get turned around. There's been a false start or two, I think, coming into last year. A lot of fans thought, man, I really like the offseason that they had. And then, as you mentioned, it's pretty early. Your starting quarterback goes down, and all of a sudden, I don't want to, slag anybody. I don't want to overgeneralize. When your starting quarterback goes down in week 3 or whatever, you're kind of boned.
It's always it's still a quarterback driven league.
That's it.
Not everyone wants to acknowledge that, but it is. And as the quarterback
Any
goes,
team
you go.
Loses your starting quarterback, you're in trouble.
Exactly.
You're in trouble.
And we had good young quarterbacks as back to step up, but you go out and get a Nick Arbuckle because you need that.
Right.
You need someone with experience to run a team. You can't just throw it in the hands of unless you're Nathan Rourke. It's probably not going to go the way you want it to with a fresh out of school.
I mean, there's not a Nathan Rourke just hanging around on every bench.
God, typically, not so much.
What did you think of the CFL's announced deal there a week or two ago with CBS Sports? And for fans who maybe have missed it, they have signed on for, I believe it was 34 games of CFL action, mostly through the summer. CBS Sports carries NCAA and the NFL. Neither of those really happening during the summer, obviously. So they're looking for some content. And it's a departure from ESPN, who is paying you basically nothing, but it's a bigger platform, right, to be tied to ESPN. Whereas now the CFL is making some money, and Dave Naylor reported that this is financially the best American TV deal that the CFL has ever signed. But it's a smaller platform. Did you have any thoughts on the deal?
Yeah, I mean, without knowing the kind of ins and outs of what went into deciding it, because they obviously don't run that by the
really
Red Blacks. More people should run more things by me, frankly. But
yeah,
I think it's great. I think the league needs to find additional revenue streams. That's not a secret. Got to make money, and sports can be a tricky bitch when it comes to make it turn a profit on. So I think that's important.
And it sounds like this has a significant promotional aspect.
Yeah,
ESPN to their credit, like they were carrying the game, and you love to see that.
But you never heard about it.
No, there was no commercials for stay tuned for Calgary Edmonton up next or whatever. It sounds like CBS is investing in this a little bit.
Yeah, and ultimately, it's people want to watch the games in the States. Like you go, the players
Americans love football. You put it in front of them, they'll watch it.
Yeah, and you have the players, like we have so many American players on a team, and their family and their family's friends and their friends and their friends'
went to
friends.
school with that
they
guy.
They want to watch it, so you have to give that opportunity. So I'm thinking, like, whether or not it's you're attached to the ESPN brand or it's a slightly smaller demo, I think it's better ultimately. Like you're still having games on in the States.
You have a presence.
And
there's more to come.
There is going to be more, and there's going to be more promotion, and it's just it's an important thing to be able to watch these games, because we're always talking about growing this game, and people want to debate like 3 downs versus 4 downs. I'm not really into that. I'd rather see it grown and this way. Like, let's get more eyeballs on the current product.
Well, especially like it's an interesting play for CBS Sports because they don't have a lot going on in the summer. And you're not competing with the NFL.
No,
so
exactly.
This is 34 games through most of the summer, and there is another package to come, whether that remains with ESPN or CBS stays involved with that or somebody else. We'll see. But your biggest games are still to come. And now somebody's set the table, right? Somebody's set the precedent. They're paying bigger money for this. And you can turn around and you can say to ESPN or you can say to whoever, the deal we had was okay, but somebody's willing to pay us for this now. Maybe you should be paying if you want the East and West final, right? And
you have to show the value of the product,
right?
And there has to be one, and there is one.
There is one, of course.
So pay for it.
Yeah, and that precedent's been set now, so that's going to be interesting. I thought it was cool to see. It is a hit when you leave ESPN in terms of pure exposure. But in terms of making some money and growing things up here.
And if they advertise it more and they do more promo, then you're going to have a bigger reach than ESPN did by essentially
just
doing
throwing
nothing
it on
with
whenever you're just flipping around and happen to land on it. It's not quite the same thing, right? So, all right, let's talk a little hockey here while you're here. And before we do, we'll jump into some all or nothing pints. You took a look at some that we had out in the fridge. Those are the exact same ones that are in your winnings or your gift bag, your sack with the $sign on it.
Lovely.
So you've chosen a couple for us here. What did you pick for yourself?
Well, Matt, I have the all or nothing, all out effort American Amber Ale.
That's what it took to beat the Jennies. It's just all
out effort.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't have to try that hard. What an ass. Coming in at a nice 5.2%. I really like the cans.
Yeah?
The can art is...
They do a nice job.
Is excellent.
Yeah. They've taken over an old, it was like 100 years old on Ritson Road in Oshawa, a beer store that they took over and put their brewery in. And, and they've, clearly invested a lot in their art as well. And you've chosen a porter for me.
I have. Their coffee porter.
Yes.
Which I know you're a...
Dark beer guy, man.
Dark beer man.
Yes.
So I figure you need
it was
to be
a
the one
solid choice.
Yeah.
I'm totally
I'm assuming
down
you've
with
had
that.
it before.
I actually haven't.
Oh, okay. Well, wonderful.
So, no. I've had a couple of their things before, but I'm living up here now, man. It's hard to get my my Durham region beers into me. So
all it took was losing a really obvious bet.
I do that a lot.
Have a sip of this bad boy here.
Yeah, it's
Oh, that's nice.
There was a couple different things. I think we grabbed 4 different types and 6 of each, or 3. I don't remember what the hell we did.
This man treats me well, folks.
Yeah. Well, it was 12 for 12. That was okay.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest with you, now that the bet's over, you were coming in pretty weak with the Mill Street. Like, it was...
I try to be responsible to
your sponsors.
Our sponsors.
I get it. Hoffley has things to consider, whereas I'm just like... Yeah, fuck. No, here's the Oshawa beer.
I probably would have brought you like some Mill Street and then snuck in a couple something else.
Yeah.
Like just
and look, I like Mill Street. Like, they make some okay stuff. Their cobblestone stout is very good.
Yeah,
I like that one a lot. And even just their
classic. I like at a hockey game, but organic. Like the
organic.
Yeah,
that's the one
great.
I was thinking of on a hot day, especially in the summer. You're saying at a hockey game. I'm saying in the summer. Like, that's a great golden beer, ice cold.
And that's what John Gott chugged with the REDBLACKS in the end zone. He had a Mill Street organic.
I like that. All right.
Back in the day, in that iconic moment.
And the location here in Ottawa for that brew pub is fucking amazing.
It might be the best spot
that
for
patio down on the river is incredible. it might be about to get a little bit more valuable if a hockey arena suddenly pops up right next to it. Why don't we get into a little bit of what's gone on around the Senators right now? And on the ice, nothing, because they've been eliminated for quite some time.
Correct, Matt.
But this week we started hearing about Snoop Dogg.
They dropped that news like it was hot.
Ugh. Ian Mendes, the Scoop Dog. Getting it out there, man. And now, all of a sudden...
Did you have it on your bingo card? Open your beer.
Yeah, what is going on here?
If I had told you 2 years ago, how's that porter treating you?
Pretty nice,
man.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
If I told you 2 years ago that today we'd be debating the merits of either Ryan Reynolds or Snoop Dogg owning the Ottawa Senators,
yeah,
you would have just accused me of being drunk.
Yeah. It
probably would have been true.
Yeah, exactly. That question is coming in at 1:30 in the morning via text message from from Glebe Central Pub. Or something. Like, I was thinking, what if Snoop bought?
It's usually while you're sitting there, I'm sitting there rolling a joint. I'll be like,
exactly.
Wonder if Snoop Dogg would own a hockey team.
Yeah. He was on. Well, the story in Ottawa here was broken by Ian Mendes, our good friend of the show, from the Athletic, that he's involved with the Nico Sparks group, who's one of the groups involved in trying to buy the Ottawa Senators, and they're apparently not even blinking at the, I guess now, $1 billion price tag.
I mean, it's chump change.
To me, that's crazier than the fact that Snoop is involved. That someone's about to pay $1 billion for the Ottawa. Again, if you had said that to me 2 years ago when this thing was just circling the bowl, right? In 2 years, Snoop Dogg and Ryan Reynolds will be bidding $1 billion to buy it. I'm like, get the fuck out of here,
it's bonkers. I love it. I can't decide if how much I care in terms of who it ends up being.
This is one of the things I wanted to ask.
I'm pretty sure I remain on Team Ryan Reynolds.
Okay.
For a couple of reasons.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds is cool as shit. Though Snoop is also cool as shit.
Yeah, he is.
So maybe that one's a toss-up.
A bit of a wash.
I think the marketing of the team with Reynolds is going to...
You're looking for
maybe be better. I think...
You're looking for a Netflix series?
Well, I think that's absolutely going to happen. And I think that for the profile of the team would be massive. And I think you've seen Ryan Reynolds just in terms of how he does his business and everything he touches turning to these $1 billion enterprises is pretty sweet. And there's the connection of him being Canadian and having lived here at one point, which is cool. Whatever. I don't care that much if the owner is Canadian or American, but it certainly adds that you can tell he's a fan. You can tell he's super into it. You can see with Wrexham how just fucking passionate this guy is.
He becomes invested in it. Right?
Yeah, and I love It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So his best buddy Rob, that could bring them all together. Maybe they all come in and hang out. That would be sweet. But it's Snoop Dogg. That's cool as hell too. There'll be a dispensary. There'll be a dispensary in the new arena.
Oh, nice. Had not considered that part.
Yeah, or some cannabis infused beverages at the concession. It would be
with that too. I'm pretty sure
gin and juice. Anybody?
Hey, well done, sir. I am pretty sure I'm not gonna get a vote on who owns the Ottawa Senators for so many reasons. But
your shitty allegiance to a different team for one thing.
Well, there is that. Hard Team Snoop.
Oh yeah.
To me, that guy is about as cool as it gets. He's on First Take with Stephen A. Smith on ESPN. ESPN is a rights holder, and Stephen A. Smith still refuses to talk about the National Hockey League. And yet, there he is talking to Snoop's about
legend.
Owning a National Hockey League team in Ottawa, Canada. To quote our friend Brian 5
I love how Brian 5 or 6 always mentions
Ottawa, Canada.
Ottawa, Canada.
Yeah. And this is worldwide news. Now, so was Ryan Reynolds, right? It's not just on Sportsnet. It's not just on TSN 1200.
It's everywhere.
You're talking about international publications mentioning the Ottawa Senators.
I mean, either way, this has been a success.
Yes.
As you said, it got the price up to $1 billion, which is insane to me.
And I just, I do understand the idea that it will be, I guess, and you'll know better than me, a letdown if there's no major celebrity now tied to the ownership.
Oh, there has to be. It'd be
But do they have to be?
I think they have to.
If both of those groups, the Reynolds group and the Snoop group, love the Snoop group.
Snoop group. You're winning me over just with the rhyming now.
If they both come in at $1 billion and one of the other groups comes in at whatever, 1.3 and are stable. Not that these two groups aren't stable, but it's a higher bid. They have
it's a higher bid when it comes to Snoop. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's like it can't just be about the money. It can't just be about the celebrity. There has to be a component to how we're going to build the arena, right? There's a lot going on here in terms of owning the. And it was really smart for these groups to tie themselves, especially, and I'm forgetting the name of the group now, that tied themselves to Ryan Reynolds, right? Got Ryan Reynolds to commit. Instead of being, he'll kind of hang back and maybe be kind of a minor owner in whatever group wins, someone went out and recruited him and said, you are with us, because they know that the fan base and the league loves the idea of having Ryan Reynolds involved, right? And now Snoop is tied to a group. It doesn't necessarily mean either one of those groups is the best bid. They're just now the most high profile bid. Like, does that make sense?
100%. And I agree, but I think it still has to be one of the two, because the marketing factor is so crucial for this team now. And either of those two guys, gotta love Snoop. I'm on the fence. Like, I love Snoop so much.
Cool as shit.
Like, he makes pot brownies with Martha Stewart. He's like this. Like, he's like, as a businessman, he's so diversified.
Yeah, and I love
it's hilarious.
There's the Snoop Football League, which he started across the U.S.
And he wants to do a hockey
basketball league, right? And this is essentially, just come play. We'll pay for the shit.
And he wants to do that here with the hockey
right.
team
and in the U.S., right? Like, he wants to make himself a bigger star in the National Hockey League, and not in like a shitty way. It's like, I want to see people who look like me play hockey, and maybe one way of doing that is having my face on it. And he's not wrong about that. I understand it comes off a little egotistical. It's not.
I think Snoop can have a little ego. Like,
he's probably earned that.
I think he's a billionaire, and I'm pretty sure he pays a man like $100,000 a year to roll his joints. So, like, that's some baller. But you can do
yes,
you can do whatever you want at that point.
Do you think? Like, to me, this feels, and again, it's not to demean Ottawa. I live in Ottawa. I'm very happy to live here in Ottawa. It's
Ottawa, Canada.
City. All these things, yes. Copyright, Brian 5 or 6. It feels like Ryan Reynolds wants to own the Ottawa Senators. Snoop wants to be an owner in the National Hockey League, and the Senators are the team that's for sale right now. Is that sort of how you read that?
I do, and that's why I'm still kind of leading towards the Reynolds things. I think it's
not a bad thing.
I think he's made it like a personal thing for him. Like, he wants to own the Sens.
Yeah.
And like, it's fucking Ryan Reynolds.
Hardcore, man. Team Snoop. Like,
I'd be honestly, I think I'd be happy with either.
No, of course. But I'm going to make you pick one. Are you still?
I'm still Team Reynolds.
Team Reynolds?
Yeah.
Why?
By a hair.
Yeah.
I think it's just the local connection for me is the big thing. And he's not a late comer to this party.
No, he's not.
He's like been all in.
And it feels like he's all in on Ottawa. And like I said, Snoop is, I'd like to be part of an ownership group.
But I would not be devastated if Snoop was involved in owning the Sens either. That would be.
We had Mendez in here a few weeks ago and, talking about how Ottawa has been, I don't even know what the word you'd use, has struggled living between these two monstrosities in Toronto and Montreal. And you can suddenly look at those two old, stodgy, original six teams and go, fuck you. We don't care if we're not. We're over here at the cool kids table while you're owned by a couple of white billionaires. And there's something
suits.
to that.
Oh, no.
Right?
I think it's great.
Yeah.
And then the idea of having like a power play sponsored by like Bubba Kush OG is like, there's so many opportunities there.
The thing I keep thinking is like they're going to review a goal based on maybe an offside or a high stick, and it just comes over the PA said, "Hold up." Hey.
That has to happen.
Yeah, of course. I love that shit. There was a review, slightly different, obviously, but I don't know, somewhere during the season that took so long in Dallas that they started playing Stairway to Heaven. I love shit like that, right?
Yeah.
People who are creative, good at their jobs.
DJs and arenas control so well.
The vibe,
sometimes.
everything, man. It's crazy. We're into the second round of the playoffs. What has caught your attention? Who have you been looking at? All right.
Well, as much as I'd like to go for the low-hanging fruit and shit on the Leafs some more, Joe Pavelski scoring 4 goals last night was
Crazy.
wicked.
And losing.
I wish they had won. I wanted him to score his 5th goal in overtime, and I'm not even
Yeah.
cheering. Like I'd probably cheer for Seattle in that
same.
series, but
But that was crazy.
but him coming back from
From an injury,
getting
missing the first round.
nearly getting killed and then coming and doing that was absolutely outstanding. I love seeing. I shouldn't say it this way. I was gonna say I love seeing a favorite team lose in the first round, but my 67s
Right.
had a rough
Didn't love
go in the
seeing
second
that
round. So,
particular
but
upset.
seeing the Bruins lose,
Yeah.
I was kind of down with.
Now, the
As
only-
much as I wanted to see the Bruins play the Leafs in the next round
exactly what
for
I was gonna
history,
say. A lot of Sens fans were kind of like,
I was kind of on that. But I also hate the Bruins. So
Yeah,
it's like
same,
it was
obviously.
it was a conflict for me.
Yeah.
And now I'm kind of excited to see Matthew Tkachuk punch Mitch Marner in the head repeatedly during the next few games. Yeah, it's great.
Sweet buddies.
He's such a troll. It's just fantastic.
It certainly is.
I love
former
the first
legend,
round of the
really.
playoffs is the best.
Yes. I
There's hockey
totally agree with that.
There's hockey every night. It's high intensity hockey every night. It's from 7 o'clock until whatever time the late game ends. It's just glorious. I love it.
Still out at a pub.
You never know where Hoff's going to be at that hour.
I know exactly where Hoff's going.
No, for the late game, I'm probably watching it in bed, to be perfectly honest. But it's just nonstop. And then when it gets to the later rounds, there's not a game every night. You're like, what the fuck is this?
That's one of the things you run into. I'm with you.
I've dropped a lot of F-bombs today on this show. I feel
all right.
like it's more than usual for me, but
that's
it feels
true.
right.
That's all right. I'm with you though in that I've always sort of felt like there's a bit of a hangover in the second round. The first round is amazing, right? Like it's constant, as you've said. There's multiple late night games. There's shit's going off. And then in the second round, everything kind of settles down before it starts to ramp up in intensity in the conference final and the finals. And I always sort of assumed that was just because I was a Leafs fan. we were out and I needed some time before I came back.
I hate the second round.
Right. Whereas now, I saw a great tweet that I emphasized there yesterday that was like, man, nobody can even remember the last time the Leafs lost in the second round. For all you know, we're killers in the second round, right?
Okay.
Nobody's beaten the Leafs in the second round in 20 years, right? So that's the better way of looking at this.
I guess.
What did you think, man? They got by Tampa. They are now down, as we sit here today, 1-0 to the Panthers. But at least one joke has been taken off the table, right? To get out of the first round.
The obvious.
Yeah.
Easy.
What do you think of the Leafs right now, man? Let us know.
They were great in the first round. They were definitely the better team, and Tampa is definitely on the decline in their dominance or their, whatever they were doing in the last bunch of years. They've been pretty good. I don't know. I think the Leafs is all joking aside. I don't know if it's a mental thing and they just was a roadblock the first round that they finally got by, or if they're not going to get past this insecurity thing until they win a cup.
Yeah.
I think Florida is a better team than people thought.
Yep. President Trophy winner last year. Pretty good.
And the Leafs are not a physical enough team. I don't think, and especially I think you saw that last night against Florida. I think they were taking every opportunity to smash someone.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Fair enough.
I think that's gonna if this goes, if it's a long series or if it's an upset series, it's gonna come down to.
Well, that's what Matthew Tkachuk said.
Yes.
The longer it goes, the more it favors us.
My second favorite Tkachuk brother, but right now, favorite player ever. Maybe.
Sure. Yeah. No.
I don't know. I think I love watching the psychological experiment that is Leafs fans dealing
glad
with
you brought it
this
back.
playoff angst.
Oh, the fans, not the players. Yeah.
No, I think it's both. It's for sure both. The players it's weird. Talking about the REDBLACKS too and not winning at home. Not all the Leafs players have experienced this like over several years. There's a lot of new guys that don't have any.
You don't think Morgan Riley is responsible for the 93?
Well,
series
probably
loss?
not. Maybe karmically, some but you hear about it so
Yes.
much.
Yeah.
And it's got to get like. Athletes are not robots. Like they listen to stuff, and no matter how many of them tell you that they don't read stuff about them, they all do to some extent.
Yeah.
And I think that would just mess with your brain a little bit. So
I think as players, this was the thing I was the most interested in seeing in round 2. And I don't think game 1 was enough. Like, let's see through the whole series, but has a weight come off your shoulders? Like, was that an actual mental block and now you can play a little more freely? Or is it just, there were times in round 1 they were outplayed pretty bad by
Well, I mean,
Tampa.
they got popped the first game, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so you
popped
never
back
know
in game 2.
Yeah, so it's hard to say what's going to...
We'll see, right? It's just interesting to me because narratives will be painted no matter what happens.
Yeah.
That if they win, they played freer, that pressure was off. And if they lose, they just weren't ever, they still don't have that killer instinct. Tampa just wasn't very good. Like, you can kind of paint whatever picture you want based on what happens from here. And that will be fascinating.
I will be
me.
glued to it.
Yeah.
And I will
it's
text
so
you
interesting.
periodically.
I know. Oh, yes. I can't wait for that.
Sometimes it's just a hi, Matt.
That's usually all. Schreids does that shit too. Just out of notice. How's it going? Fuck. Not now.
I hate you.
Yeah, basically. I replied to her late last night after she was long in bed because she goes to sleep at like 7:15 or whatever. And I had to remind her that Haley Wickenheiser is part of our management team. So I just texted her and said, hey, I just want to put it back out there. Wick is on our side, and she finds your attitude towards all of this off-putting. And I woke up the next morning, and it just said, you shut your dirty mouth. So,
Yeah, it sounds like trash.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Do not come after her idols.
No, it's true.
She will cut you.
How's your beer, man?
It's delicious.
Good one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, I went from a red to an amber, and I'm digging this.
Okay.
Good stuff, all or nothing.
Yeah. They make good beer. And, it was a little painful to have to get to this point, but
Oh,
I
like
think
you didn't know we were going to get to this point.
I think I may have known that we were going to get to this point.
It was fun. A good bet
Yes.
just adds
Puts
to
a
the-
little something extra to it, right? Puts a little attention.
And
on
I like
public
beer,
charities.
so-
Yeah, no, exactly. I
conveniently.
can probably tweet at you at just about anything. Like, hey, you watching darts on Sportsnet?
You know what?
Beers on,
I have gotten into playing darts.
114.
No, we play a game called cricket in darts.
okay.
Where it's all about like you have to get certain things. So you have to get like 3 20s, and then you have to get like 3 15s, and you have to get 2 bullseyes.
Are you actually like any good at darts?
Surprisingly, I'm not terrible.
Okay.
And it's fun. It's fun as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta start earlier in the night though. 'Cause,
No,
like,
100%.
Darts with a buzz on is not
by the
easy.
time you're fucking
Takes
vibrating,
forever, yeah.
No, it's not good.
You're like hitting the other dartboard next to it. And it's not good, but fun. Like I'd rather play darts than pool right now. I think in terms of like bar games.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch either of them on TV.
No,
No.
actually, darts is way better on TV than billiards. It's,
Oh, yeah.
100%. Both of them better than poker. I don't
What
know
about
what
bowling?
I'm doing with
Bowling's boring because they just bolt. It's just like strikes all the time.
Yeah, but the greatest thing, man, about bowling has always been
Oh, that was so good. No, we still don't know. I love that you just have that keyed up.
we talked about it months ago, and I'm not ever deleting that clip. So
Who do you think you are? I am. Oh,
It's a fair question.
A guy who's never got to cheer for himself before. He's like, I don't know what to say right
don't know
now.
how to chirp, right?
It's like Ron Burgundy being like, I love Lamp.
This is not Ron Burgundy. That was Champ or whatever.
No, it was Anchorman.
Yeah, it was Anchorman, but it wasn't Ron Burgundy who said it. It's
Oh no!
Steve
Yeah.
Carell's
Yes, it was
character
as Brick.
Brick is
Yeah.
his name. That's right.
Are you just pointing to things and saying you love them? I love Desk.
Brick killed a guy.
You might be wanted for murder.
I saw a great tweet a couple weeks ago. On the same day, Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon both left Fox News and CNN on the same day. And somebody, fucking brilliant, man. This is why I stay on Twitter.
Yeah.
Every now and then there's
Yeah,
a jam.
it has its-
And
it has its
I've never
place.
seen a rougher day on anchors than the time that the Channel 5 news team squared off in the alley with whatever. Evening booze. So.
I mean, Don Lemon doesn't sound like a great dude, so that's, whatever.
100%.
But seeing Tucker Carlson get canned was amazing.
As if you went to Don Lemon as the bad guy.
Oh, you're like,
first.
Because like DonLemon, I'm like, you know what? Like,
100%.
I don't watch a lot of CNN. I don't watch Tucker Carlson either.
Unless
but
it's
he's
raining
everywhere,
really
but-
hard in Louisiana, I don't live on CNN at this point.
But Tucker Carlson getting canned, it's the meltdown that the far righties are having about it. Like it's like the worst injustice ever done to humanity. Like it's
Fox
nuts.
News fires you.
Yeah, like you're too
crazy as
you're
fuck
too
for
crazy,
Fox News.
racist, and whatever for Fox News. You know what? You're a little too much for us.
Right. This was fun, man. I'm glad you came back in. It cost me a couple beers, but it was worthwhile. It always cost me a couple beers. When you come in. This time it cost me 12.
It's always a pleasure. I like this one more when I get like a to go. It's like it's like a loot bag at a birthday party.
I do feel looted. We're gonna talk off air. We got to get a couple of Red Blacks guests in here as camp is ramping up and
Absolutely.
going on and make that happen because we've talked about that a lot and then we both just kind of.
We should get a couple together, like a couple of good
cool.
ones. Like
Let's do that.
do some
Baltimore would be fun
receivers.
to talk
Yeah,
to.
get 2 receivers. Get like Nate Bahar
Love
and
to have
Jalen
Nate back
Acklin
in
in
there. That
together.
would be amazing. That'd be a lot of fun.
Get Richie.
I'd still like to talk to
Richie and
Dice.
Lewis together. Yeah, get Dice in.
Yeah.
Dice is a little busy at the moment.
I understand Dice may have some things going on.
but no, Dice is
Berkey.
I honestly don't know if Dice is a beer guy. I know he loves a good old fashioned.
Okay.
I think he's a bourbon guy.
we can make
but
that
I think,
happen.
Yeah, we could. But I mean, he's probably a beer guy too.
Yeah.
And yeah, Berkey would be down. Let's look at him. We'll do the thing.
Yeah. Let's schedule some things here.
Yeah.
Let's make some things happen. Hoff, appreciate it, man. Glad
Always
you
a
came
pleasure,
in.
man. Thanks for having me.
We'll wind this one down here. He is on Twitter at Chris Hoffley and on Instagram at Hoff on Sports. We're on social media at Talk Can Audio. Make sure you're subscribed to the pod wherever you're hearing us right now. For Chris Hoffley, my name's Matt Robinson. We'll catch you all next time.
Fuck, man. Thank you, guys.
The hell is that?
Number one bullshit. Oh, number one bullshit.
Why are you so pissy?